Hello, and welcome to this introduction to our Hearts in Action interview series. My name is Magdalena, and I am the Executive Director of Soul Support. And today I'm interviewing MaryAnn D'Ambrosio and Gina Carucci. And MaryAnn and Gina have endeavored very strongly to bring the essence of soul support into the world. And they are conducting interviews with those who have participated in our programs. So I'm going to ask them to speak a little bit about themselves first, and then about the program that they are actually spearheading for us in this time of great awareness and strengthening of each of our spaces in the foundation of our soul and spirit is so important, and they are helping us to do that. So MaryAnn, do you want to go first? And I'll just ask you how you got started with soul support and what the impact of our programs has been on you and where you are in that process right now.
Sure. Well, I got started in soul support back in 2000 when a woman, a dear friend now, Hetty, introduced me to soul support systems and said, "You need a soul recognition, MaryAnn." I had no idea what that was. And yet she said, "You need it." And normally in my logical linear mind, I'd want to research it and find out more about it. And yet there was something in the words that she used or the vibration of the words really that she used that spoke to me in a way that I understood and yet couldn't put into words other than, yes, I'm there. And so with that, I jumped in and started that. And it was April 1st, 2000. So it's been a while now. And from that experience, it launched me into a whole different world. I began to experience things in a different way. And it was a point in my life where it was a transition point anyways. My children were, at a point where they were more independent. And so my personal life was freed up. And I understand this isn't, the situation for everybody. And yet for me, this was an exciting time in my life anyways. And that excitation expanded by having the soul recognition.
And you've gone on to actually be a facilitator of soul recognition and some of the other soul support systems processes. So would you kind of help us understand what that has meant for you and how that's maybe changed things for you in your life?
What I noticed is, especially during soul recognitions, is that it became so clear that we create a safe space for people. And that safe space is an opening for us to let go of things because there's non-judgment here at all. And when we feel safe, and this is what I found through the experience, is that when we feel safe, we go much further into who we are. And by being able to go much further into who we are, we begin to experience our soul in a whole different way. And sure, the heart is involved. However, the soul, who knew that the soul had information in it and guidance in it, as well as direction for us and purpose and things like that. So that got me really, really excited to be part of the facilitating team, because every time we had a soul recognition and at least for 5 or 6 years when I was first involved, it was an expansion of an awareness and consciousness and vibration and energy. And I began to notice that as I went out into the world, I really wanted to carry that with me consciously and notice the response others were having towards it. And so people would say, "Oh, you must have been at one of your things," or "Where were you?" or "Wow, you're different." So especially being in the corporate world and being in the energy, which is fascinating to me because I think spirit has such a good sense of humor, is that I was in the energy industry And at that time, I was in a division called transmission, so the high voltage energy. And so it was fascinating that people would recognize differences in how people, how I showed up too, that there was something different. And so that, of course, I was excited to share that piece with others and introduce them to energy in different ways.
And you have this intention to support each person to leap without limits, to go into a space where their life and consciousness is actually what you know it can be and what they know it can be, and you assist them to do that. So we are really happy to have you as part of our organization and now on our board. And I know you want to inspire others to activate that potential. Is there anything you want to say about that?
Well, being on a board and being, and here's the interesting part, it's not only like-minded individuals, because people speak about, oh, being with like-minded individuals. I feel it's beyond that. It's open-minded and forward-thinking individuals. So that combination, and Soul Support has that combination of individuals that lights a fire under us in a way that is contagious, in that people get excited about, oh, what's next? What's next? And that's the whole piece here. As the treasurer, I get to see, sure, the flow of money and things that comes into the organization. And we are most grateful as a nonprofit for the donations we receive from others. And in many ways, that's hearts in action, because we use money for exchange. And of course, that covers our programs and things like that. And then there's this generosity in the volunteering area of Soul Support, where people come again with their hearts in action. The leadership team, they are there fully and aspiring to bring forth this new way of being, although it's already here. So it's bringing in this new way of being to others and expanding this more and more into the world, because it's time. It's simply time.
Yes, and Hearts in Action means to us as an organization that we begin to take the principles that we have, in a sense, cultivated in ourselves and create programs or experiences for others where they can cultivate those same principles. And that's the heart and the soul. And knowing that we're all part of a larger field that holds us in the integrity of oneness. So it's exciting to me as the director and founder of this, that we're reaching out beyond the quote unquote spiritual ideology for, okay, well, this is a soul support system, so this is all about the soul. And realizing that the soul is about action, it's about movement, it's about expression and creativity and being in the world in your essential essence so that you feel comfortable and you feel like you belong. So it's exciting to have you, MaryAnn, with your business experience and also with this comprehensive viewpoint of how all of the pieces fit together. You're a beautiful, beautiful example of that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It is an honor and a pleasure.
So Gina, let's talk to you. So let us know how you got started and how you've used these principles in your life.
Similar to MaryAnn, got involved through the soul recognition retreat. I was at a conference with a colleague, and she was talking about this soul recognition experience she was going to have. And before I even knew that I was asking her to sign me up, I had said, I'm there. And that has led to many, many years now of being associated with soul recognition. At that point, I was approximately in the first third of my career as a chiropractor, and always being very holistically oriented, working with my patients in the body, mind, and spirit realm, if you will, coming into soul support systems through soul recognition. created, I guess, a bridge for me in the world of science and spirit. And that just has led to acceleration of my knowing, my insight, my understanding of energy and healing. And that knowing that allowed me to say yes, or to say that I was there before I even knew, was that cellular vibration, that cellular knowing that occurs throughout all of Soul Support's programming.
It's exciting for me to hear you, Gina, bringing the science together with the metaphysics, together with the heart, as you always do. So that's, in a sense, what we're endeavoring to create for all of us, isn't it? That there's a bridge between what we know in our heart, what we've experienced in our mind, and what we'd like to create on the planet.
Absolutely. Yeah, the mind allows us to analyze and to think. And I'm going to use the word "and" here deliberately, not "but." And the heart and the soul allows us to feel. And the integration of the mind, the heart, and the soul then allows us to magnetize and carry this greater or expanded electromagnetic fields that people feel when they're in the presence of those who carry these vibrations and knowings.
Yeah, and it's an inspiration for all of us who have decided to join those things together, and also for those who are part of our lives.
Most definitely. I mean, it's a community, and that's a big part for me of what I've gotten from the Soul Support organization is community, like-minded, like-hearted, like-souled, like-feeling people that understand more than just what the three-dimensional world shows us and tells us.
And it also gives us the opportunity to move outside of our conditioning and the things that we've been told, and also to trust more in the knowing that we have. So it's an amazing, amazing process to open to that. And I'm so happy that we stand for that, actually, as an organization. So the both of you are doing interviews with people who have had our programs. I know we've talked about soul recognition, but we also have Heart Thread, which is about bringing the wisdom of the body into our awareness consciously. And we also have circuitry alignment, which aligns our purpose with our body so that we are vibrating with that soul's energy. We also have a way to work with the mind so that we can balance our left and right sides of our mind. And you've been interviewing many, many people. Do you want to talk about how those interviews work and how that came about, or anything you'd like to share with us?
The Hearts in Action audio series, of which this, I believe, is the launch of, came about as wisdom of knowing of Soul Support and where we wanted to go into the world in a greater way. And after some team meetings that we had earlier in the year, this concept was born, and MaryAnn and I have decided to spearhead it, as you indicated. And we have felt that bringing audio interviews to listeners from participants of a variety of our programming. So as you indicated, soul recognition, heart thread, circuitry alignment, thought wave would be valuable to people that are curious about the offerings from the organization. But also we are going to include interviews with leaders from the organization, people who've been with Soul Support for many, many years, decades now, and hearing from them and their evolution in the organization, their wisdom and information that would be interesting to our listeners as well.
Is there anything that you'd like to add to that, MaryAnn?
We're doing these interviews so that individuals who are unfamiliar with Soul Support would be able to listen and hear and find some place to connect and hopefully be inspired to take some action in their life. And we offer all different types of resources, including a morning meditation, a free morning meditation. And that could be a starting point of coming into our community. and listening to these, listening or experiencing one of our meditations. So it's really about individuals and the collective, this inspiration or this excitation. Gina used that word too, this excitement that's happening that's bigger than us. And we're sharing that. And part of that is this Hearts in Action initiative to share in a way that's different than necessarily, being right at a program. And hopefully our trainings and courses will speak to you in some way.
Well, as I think about Soul Support, we were founded in 1994, which is a long time ago. And we started with Mary Magdalena and the energies of some of the sources of what we could think of as avatars or spiritual leaders or whatever. And we actually received messages from them and began to create experiences where we as individuals could open to a greater part of ourselves. And we have this very linear world that has so much limitation in it. And I feel that both of you have really understood that that limitation is not real. And that through the programs, which are all experiential, we open to parts of ourselves that we're not actually trained to open in our Western society. So whether that be the central channel, which is this beautiful opening to light, or whether it be our energy systems that give us this understanding of how valuable the sensations are that we could think about and feel in what is called the subtle body. There's just so many ways in which we can open to parts of ourselves that we didn't even know we had. Part of that is the soul. Everyone thinks the soul is expression in art, or, I heard my soul, this person does music and I love, they're doing that from their soul. But to know that we can open our soul, that we have a seed of light inside us, and we can actually learn to connect with that and to open it and receive all the blessings of our own wisdom, it's just amazing to me, that we continue to find ways to communicate that and to create programs where people can experience it. So I thank both of you for this initiative to be part of the Hearts in Action. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we end our interview?
I'll just say that it is a joy and a pleasure to be affiliated with the organization and to be bringing this work to the world in new and exciting ways, to be living it with a wonderful community.
I totally agree with that. And as I reflect back to when I first was introduced to soul support systems, to this moment now, the expansion, the awareness, the gratitude, it touches me at such a deep, deep level. And where I'm finding it hard to express into words. So, Flo, thank you so much for who you are, what you bring, and how you bring it into the world so that so many can experience that. Thank you.
Thank you, MaryAnn. Your heart is felt, and I appreciate it. So, okay, our website is www.soulsupportsystems.org. And you can see us on YouTube and Instagram. And if you'd like to be part of us, just click in someplace and listen and experience the Hearts in Action from Soul Support Systems. Thanks so much for listening. And we wish you a beautiful life and a beautiful moment. Each moment, create it as you want it.